My first recording of the year, and I'm hoping that whoever is watching or listening to this YouTube, that you are optimistic that we're going to have a much better year than last year. And the reason that these YouTubes began last year was because there were so many people in lockdown and feeling a little bit lonely and maybe needing some positive input via the internet. Today, I have the great pleasure of introducing you to Patrick Scott Ziegler, a man that is beyond description because he is quite amazing in his healing work, in his continual traveling around the world, speaking and healing thousands of people. I'm very honored to have him today. I was actually teaching SEKHEM Seichim for quite a few years before I had the pleasure of meeting him. And that was 13 or 14 years ago. And every year we've been connecting since then. So without further ado, this is someone I would like to introduce you to. So here we go. Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
I can almost see you, but you don't seem to be moving.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me all right now?
I can, oh, there you are.
Hi.
All the way from Brazil.
Yes.
What
So
time
you
is
can
it?
hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you, I can see you, and everything is fine.
Oh, wonderful. I can see you too.
So, welcome to my YouTube channel. As I may have mentioned, I started it up this year, really for those people who were in lockdown.
There you go.
I think we lost something there for a moment.
You're okay now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you're perfect for me.
All right. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to what I was saying, this year I hope to interview many more people that can offer something very special to those who have learnt, like myself, to work and understand the amazing things that we can do energy-wise just via the internet. Yeah. So you have been doing that for last year as well.
Well, we've been having some amazing classes almost every weekend now.
Yeah.
You know, first we were traveling. We had classes every weekend when we were traveling. And then as soon as they said you can't travel, I think we had a few weeks off, and then we started doing the Zoom and that. Now I had a little bit of advantages because I've been doing sessions and everything for, oh gosh, it's been almost 20 years. So in fact, one of my earlier classes was, we used the telephone, but it was a group telephone conference that we used to teach in. So I've had quite a bit of experience with it already.
Yeah. Well, it was a surprise to me with my own groups last year, how energy travels. I know I should know that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I did Reiki distant healing, and then all of a sudden we were sending energy, and I thought, wow, it actually works. So it's marvelous.
You know, now that we've really been doing this more full time now,
yeah,
really there's not hardly any big difference energy wise that we've noticed. People are going into the initiations, they're having the same experiences. Everything has just been absolutely amazing, whether you're doing it in person or online. So this is a very, very big lesson, I think, for everybody.
Yes, it is. And of course, we'll be doing that together at the end of the month on February the 28th. You'll be visiting us again via Zoom.
Yes. And we'll probably be doing it from Egypt. If we
from Egypt. Wow.
Yes.
So you can travel there now.
Well, this is the thing. Hopefully, yeah, it's possible to travel. You know, there are going to be some restrictions. You have to make sure you get all your not the shots, but you have to get the tests. And then if everything's you know, good, then you can travel.
Good. Well, that will be interesting, and that will have a whole new energy coming from Egypt.
Yes, of course. Well, you know, one of the things that I'm finding with all of this is that, you know, people ask, they say, okay, how does this work? You know, how can people, you know, have the initiations and everything through distance? And actually, there's a big debate going on right now. You know, I know within the Reiki community, I'm already seeing online, you know, that some of the people are saying, oh, you can't do it online, you can't do it online. The thing is that it's happening online. You know, people can't come and say, oh, it doesn't work when we're seeing it works.
Exactly.
You know, so the thing is you just have to do it. You have to try it out and see. Now, the main reason that this works is because you have everything inside yourself already. Everybody has it. And what we're doing in the in-person classes or the online classes, we're just helping facilitate a person's connection to their inner soul, you know, their soul energy.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're providing, you know, that support, whether it's online or in person, and it works. Now, sometimes people are thinking, oh, is he sending me some sort of energy, this sort of thing? Now, that's also, there's the whole thing is there's no space, there's no time. We're all connected. But really the main thing is that you just need to be open and be able to feel that you can really connect to your inner self.
Okay.
And this is what we do. This is the main thing that we do. Um, I feel like, you know, really the reason that you're not feeling, that people are not feeling connected, is because they have some sort of blockage within themselves. And with our classes, especially with the All Love, we help you get in touch with those blockages. And then we work with it, we have it open up so that then once that energy is free, then you make the connection. It's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. I think sometimes people come to these workshops or healing weekends with expectations that are not in tune with what actually happens. It's their version of what they think is going to happen. So it takes a little while for them to relax and step back and, as you say, be open to receiving something that's already within.
Exactly. And one of the things that happens a lot of the times is that people think, okay, I want to go, and they're just going to send me the energy and do it for me. Okay. And that does work to some level. But if you really, really want to make a long lasting connection, you need to do a little bit of inner work. This is key.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've really been talking a lot about is that, as you know, I did the 40-day meditation in India. And now we have an ashram set up there, or I would say meditation type center. Basically, it's just beautiful. We have got 6 rooms where people can go meditate, and you can really focus on yourself. If you think about Reiki, because Reiki is probably one of the most well-known, one of the most popular and really good systems of healing, how did that get started? Mikao Usui went to the mountain, meditated supposedly for 21 days, and he meditated on his own and had this experience. This is, to me, after doing my 48 days, this is vital. I think every Reiki master, every teacher should do this. It's so important. I mean, I know a lot of people have a very good connection to Reiki without doing it. But I can tell you, if you do it, you're going to even have a deeper experience with Reiki. And at that point, you're not even going to call it Reiki because it doesn't have a name. Okay. You don't want to really put an identifier on it, but there's an awakening that takes place. And this is all part of really how Reiki all got started. And, Mikao Usui wasn't the only one to discover this sort of thing. But what he did do is he took it and put it in kind of a terms of these are some methods to help you get enlightened. And then there happens to be a healing component when you connect with the energy. And what's happened more in the West is that we've been focusing more on the healing component more than the enlightenment component. And if people start focusing on the enlightenment component a lot more, they're going to really understand a lot more about Reiki.
Well, if they focus on the enlightenment component, then the healing will come naturally. It will follow it.
Exactly. And this is what Mikao Usui found out. And it's like certain things are presented to you when you have this awakening. And for him, it just so happened to be the healing came at a time when Japan really needed it. There was a war going on. There's an earthquake that happened at that time. And so there's an immediate need for a lot of people to come in and do some healing work. So basically, I think it was the earthquake that really got things started, where they could start to see the results of the working with energy. And it was really amazing that this just happened to be the opportunity that came about when he was teaching. I find that this happens for myself. I'll learn something and then this opportunity will come up where I have to apply it.
Yes, you get a calling.
Yes. I remember when I first started working with the energy and, I went to kind of a massage school and put my hands on people and all of a sudden I'm seeing stuff. This isn't massage, and the energy waves would come in. And so I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what was happening. And now, of course, that was almost 40 years ago.
Your clients certainly knew something was happening.
Oh, yes. Well, it's interesting because one of my first paying clients was, actually what happened is that we had like a free clinic. And a lady came in and we had a choice. We could do the massage, but since I was having such good results with the energy, I just was doing the energy work for anybody that came in. And she says, wow, she says, I have somebody that could benefit from this. And so I said, sure, bring her in. She says, well, it's not possible. She's in the hospital. And I thought, oh no, I don't want to get involved in all the hospital politics and that sort of thing. She says, look, I am the head nurse, so there won't be any problems. I just want you to come over. We have a patient. We know that you can help her. And so I walked in and there's this very old lady laying there. She's got tubes on. And really, I looked at her and I thought, she could die any minute. And she just looks at me and she says, that's right. She's going to die sometime. But she's been almost dying now for 5 years. She's been like this for 5 years. And she says, I thought maybe if you worked on her, you could help her make a transition. And so here I am, my first client, paying client, might die on me. And I said, look, I don't know if I can take this kind of responsibility, especially in the hospital. She says, don't worry. She says, you've got my full support. So I said, okay. And I just sat down with her. And as soon as I sat down with her, she looked at me and I just said, just close your eyes and relax. And in about 5 minutes, she just fell asleep. So I just continued doing what I did. She was still asleep. I got up, I left. After an hour and didn't disturb her. The next morning, I get a call and this nurse says, what did you do? I said, what do you mean? And I thought, oh no, here it is. Here she said, nothing's going to happen. And now she's like, what'd you do? And she says, she is got so much energy now. She's yelling at the doctors, screaming, yelling. And what it was is that I didn't know it, but this woman was like a multimillionaire. She had one of the biggest galleries in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And she had donated several $1,000,000 to the cancer research. And basically, she had cancer and she was dying from cancer. And oh my, she started screaming at the doctor saying, I just spent $30 and I feel better than I have, spending $2 million for you guys. and after a week, she wasn't on the tubes anymore. She was starting to feel better. And after a week, after I came in, one day, all these people in suits are there. And I thought, oh no, this is not what I had in mind. And, here I was. At that time, I had long hair, a beard, And they pulled me in the side. They said, what are you doing to her? And I just said, I'm not doing anything. I just come do a little meditation with her. That's all, because I didn't really want to get into even mentioning anything about healing because I knew that it could be a problem. I said, no, I'm just coming in meditating with her. And they said, is she going to live? They kept asking me. I said, I don't know. It's up to her, But what it was her family had come in. And they were very upset because they were hoping that she would die for obvious reasons. And here I come along and I ruined it for them. She was out of the hospital after a month. She went home and just had a private nurse with her. And it just so happened to be at a time that I was finishing the school and I was moving on. But she was up, she was walking, she just had a complete turnaround. And that's what convinced me. Sometimes, you start doing these things with the energy and all, and you think, does this really work? You might see little results. But for me, I have to say, every time the universe would provide me with something that gave me a big result that I couldn't deny. And this was the first one. It was amazing.
The first one, you've got many people walking, have you?
Yeah, no. Well, we've seen a lot of healings happening. Now, I do have to say, I don't focus on the healing.
No.
If it happens, it happens, because, legally, you can get into problems if you start talking about doing any kind of healing work. So I really focus on the energy, and we focus on the enlightenment, the awakening. And if a healing happens as a result, then it happens.
The healings that I've witnessed within our workshops have been more of a mental healing, where people have been able to release certain things that were blocking them and holding them back in fulfilling the life that they have come here to lead. So yeah. I have seen that with many, many people. And because a lot of the people that come to these workshops are ongoing friends or connections with me, it lasts. It's not like it's, there's some workshops you go to and you experience this, and then 2 years later someone says, did you enjoy it? You can't even remember it. Whereas what you are able to facilitate is something that is released, that needs to be released, and that's it. It's gone. And it's a wonderful thing for me to see, for me to witness too.
Well, I am amazed every class. I can't believe what I see sometimes. And it's yes. What happens is that whatever problems we have usually start on the mental level. And then if they're not dealt with, then they go to the emotional level. And then if that's not dealt with, then it goes on to the physical level. Now, a lot of the people that are coming to our classes, because we're not offering healing, we're really offering more spiritual work. We're not getting, people who have really serious physical disease. You know, we're getting people who are really looking for awakening. And in that awakening process, though, then a lot of those mental issues, which haven't really gone down into the body yet, start to be healed before they cause a problem.
Okay, I
You know?
understand.
Yeah, and especially on getting it into the emotional level as well. And so we start seeing the results immediately. One of the biggest healings, you might say, that we do see is, and it's like, it's really amazing, is that there's a lot of women that say want to have children. And because of the emotional blockages, they block the energy, you know, down in their pelvic area, and then they're unable to have the children. And we've seen just amazing results after the class, where so many women who have tried everything to get pregnant, that energy gets cleared, and then like 9 months later they have the baby. Of course,
Oh.
I give them a little homework to do after the class.
Which is quite enjoyable, really. So,
Yes, yes.
so I witnessed that because a friend that came along a few years ago, I think she'd had 3 or 4 miscarriages. She did have a child,
Okay.
but she badly wanted another child, and
Yes.
was very reluctant to say that that was her problem. So I told you and Surly that was her deepest wish. And yes, she had a healing verbally from you, a hug from Surly, who also had your son as a baby that was
Oh,
between
wonderful.
Surly
Yeah.
and her. And all I heard standing next to them was this sort of humming song that sort of came through. And there was just this moment of bliss, and I was witnessing it. And my friend had tears rolling down her cheeks.
Yes.
And I knew that there was something happening. And a month later, she realized that she was pregnant.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that was, to me, that was the greatest miracle.
Oh, no, it is.
And she's pregnant again now.
Okay.
So it's
It continues.
every year. Up to 10 now. No. So yes, it's great. So I'd like to ask you, because I've been curious, how did this kind of life start? Were your parents into this kind of work? Were they what age did you suddenly realize? Or
Well, my father,
were you a mad teenager that had
my father was a rocket scientist.
Okay.
We had I had wonderful parents. I really did. You know, and in a lot of this work that we do, I see how important that is. You know, I see the trauma sometimes that people have if a parent, you know, is an alcoholic or has issues, and how they put that onto the children. And really, you know, I did have wonderful parents. As far as I know, I never had any really big traumas. In fact, in the work that I do, the biggest trauma that came up is that I had a cat, and it got sick, and my mom took it to the vet and said, put it to sleep. And she didn't tell me. She just said, he's at the doctor, and I kind of waited and waited. That was one of the biggest traumas that came up for me in a lot of my, you might say, regression type work. So, you know, I feel like a wonderful childhood. I loved going to school. I played basketball, so I was kind of like the star, you know, that sort of thing, because I'm so tall. Wasn't that good at shooting the basketball, but I was big and fast. But as far as the energy work, this is something that I was always very interested in, and even as a child. And I have very specific memories of my mom. We were in a bookstore, and my mom said, you can go buy any book you want. Now, just that alone lets you know what kind of mom I had. And so I said, I was so excited. And I went through a lot of the books. And at that time, I liked the kind of the big picture books, the like things like Egypt and dinosaurs I liked a lot. So I was looking through all these nice big books. And then I found the book that I wanted. And so I very remember it was probably one of the first books that I chose that after I could read, on my own. And the book was all about extrasensory perception, telepathy, and it had a lot of methods of meditation and self-hypnosis in it. And I took that book and it was just amazing. It was very, very inspiring because they talked a lot about, with the kind of the hypnotic state that you could get in, that you could do these healing works. And after I read that, I just felt like, wow, anything's possible. And so I was meditating, doing the practices about 8 or 9 years old. Mm-hmm. And I continued doing that because I knew that there was something very important I needed to learn with that. Now, my father and mom, they didn't meditate. They didn't do that. But they kind of had they were a little, not overly religious. Like my dad read the Bible to me, that sort of thing. But it wasn't like over religious in any way. And they just very supportive in anything that I want, direction that I wanted to take my life in. So that's how things got started for me. And then when I was in architecture school, we had a kind of a training where you needed to go apprentice. And so I apprenticed in Florida, Miami, Florida. I had an uncle who was an architect. And while I was there, I met some guys who were taking a course, and they said, oh, you got to come take this course. And basically, it was a meditation type course, a little bit like the Forum or EST. It was more kind of a EST takeoff. You're probably old enough to know what EST was, with Werner Erhard. But they did a lot of personal development work. And that I was just in my 20s at that time. And then I started doing yoga, and decided, hey, I want to get out and go to the source. And so I joined the Peace Corps. I was 2 years in Yemen. And the reason I went to Yemen is because that's my first assignment. But also I thought maybe I could meet some Sufis there. But it was during my time in Yemen that I went to Egypt, and then I met a Sufi who was Egyptian but lived in the Sudan, and that was kind of the beginning of things for me.
So are you multilingual, or did it just work?
Well, I did have training in Arabic, and I could speak fairly good Arabic, but for the really nice things I did need a translator. So when I went to see the Sufi in the Sudan, we did have a good translator. Hmm. And he was considered to be a saint. He was one of the most influential Sufi teachers. And when he died, I went back. It was like 2 years later, they had a big anniversary. And so, of course, since I was one of the few foreigners that came, I was put up on the stage with him. And next to me was the president of Sudan and vice president of Egypt.
Uh-huh. And do you still have an enormous connection with Egypt?
Yes. In fact, we've been going almost every year.
Yeah. Is the connection the energy that you find there that you can tap into?
Well, it's a little bit of everything. I mean, when I was in architecture, one of the things that really inspired me was the ancient cultures, and Egypt is one of them. And I would spend hours and hours just looking at the books, the amazing books and the photographs of, I love National Geographic and that sort of thing, and the amazement of these ancient cultures that were built is absolutely amazing. And the pyramids, it's like, my goodness. And I studied everything I could about the pyramids. Being an architect, I thought, hey, if I'm going to be an architect, I want to really understand how this energy stuff works with the pyramids. And so that's the reason I went to Egypt. I ended up spending the night in the pyramid and having a wonderful experience. But one of the things that I've really learned since this 40-day meditation is that you have it all inside yourself. You know, you can meditate in the pyramid or you can just meditate in your room. And if you have a good teacher, somebody that really helps you learn how to meditate, you can access this stuff. You know, so it's like you get to the point where you're beyond having to go to an energy spot or having a certain person work with the energy. Eventually, what you want to accomplish is be able to make this connection completely on your own.
Yes, well, of course, I do guided meditations because I always like to encourage people to meditate on their own. But when they come to the groups, it would be a bit silly for me to be in front of all of this silence, you know, me silent, them silent. We could do it on our own.
Well, I'm that way too. So
yeah,
I like to do kind of a guided visualization. Well, it's wonderful to do that for a group, especially people starting and learning.
yeah.
But what we've done is we've expanded the weekend class now. And like next week, we're going to be doing 8 days. And we'll be doing about 4 or 5 hours of meditation a day. That's when you can actually sit and do the meditation and really learn how to, really one of the keys, the biggest things, just get your mind quiet.
Yeah. Well, when I guide them into that place, when I ask at the end of the group, you know, how was it for you? I like them to voice that so they remember it, and I love to hear it. I would say most people cannot remember what I was saying. They hear the beginning and then they go off into their own place.
Exactly.
A percentage of the people remember nothing. It's just blank. They say, I think I was asleep. And I said, no, you weren't, because when I said, I'm going to count down and then you'll be wide awake, you hear me immediately. So this is what I like about the guided meditations too. It gives people an opportunity to get where they need to go.
Yes, exactly. Well, I've been doing a lot of studying on this now, you know, internally and a little bit externally.
Yeah.
And one of the ways is that this works is that, you know, normal consciousness, we're in what they would call kind of a beta state. And so you have gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And all it is it's the frequency of your brainwave. That's how they define it. So when you get down into, say, an alpha state, you're just starting to get relaxed. And so the guided meditation gets you into the alpha. And then as you start going a little bit deeper, you can drop down into the theta. And with the theta, that's where a lot of the deep visualizations come from. Now, the key to this is that when you're doing the guided meditation, you're keeping them conscious. So if they're listening on some level. Now, normally when somebody goes into theta, they're not conscious. And so they don't remember. So your voice, you see, helps them remember some of the things. Now, if they go into delta, you don't remember. But there's a little trick that I learned.
Do tell.
That helps you remember. It kind of opens the memory when you go into delta. And that is that it's like you need something to focus on. So this is what I learned in the 40-day meditation. You know, we have this inner sound that you can learn, and you stay focused on that sound. But then when you go down into delta, you remember everything. And when you remember, it's amazing. You know, every single night, a person will go into a state of enlightenment. It's like you return back to source every single night. Every time you go to sleep and you get into that delta state, the soul makes this wonderful connection back to the universe. but we don't remember. And so simply, this meditation is just a remembering. It's like you remember it. And I tell you right now, it's been absolutely incredible for me. Every morning when I do my meditation, I feel like I just reconnect to the universe and back.
Mm.
And I'm so excited to teach this and help people, because really, when you think about what we're doing, yeah, obviously we're teaching meditation, but we're also teaching how to connect with your inner peace, how to connect with your love. And the world really needs this right now.
Mm.
Absolutely.
If everybody on the planet could really learn how to connect with their inner peace and their inner love, then that's what you'll get on the planet.
So the more people that can hear this message, the better, because
Yes.
there's a lot of, we need to get rid of this fear that so many are feeling.
Yes. And really, you think about it, this whole COVID-19 thing, it's been such an amazing opportunity, because it gives people that chance, especially some of you that were in quarantine and that sort of stuff. Well, just learn how to meditate. When we do the 40-day meditation, that's what we're doing, is we're self-imposing, a 40-day quarantine on yourself. And it was rather interesting because I was in the 40-day meditation in India. It was like my third time. And right at the end, that's when we first found out about the COVID starting. And we had a group from Hong Kong. And they were very concerned because some of the flights were being canceled, and the whole restrictions were just starting. But basically, they got back in time and they were safe. But it's such an opportunity to learn. And in a way, if you look at the big picture, look what's happening. I mean, look at you now. You've got your YouTube channel. We've been doing Zoom, and it's just exploding. So we're connecting now to the world even more than we ever did.
Yes. And that's what we need. I mean, that's the joy of technology. I mean, we can put down technology to an extent, and want to think about how it used to be when years ago, when we didn't have all these gadgets and everything. But really, it's the most wonderful thing that's ever happened. I've even got somebody in my Zoom group from England, and it's just, and all over Australia. I would not be able to talk to that many people if there wasn't for I had been forced into a Zoom life.
Yeah. Well, one of our goals was to, because we know that the more people we get connected, the more energy that comes in, especially, in the in-person classes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we had a goal, we said, just wonder if we could get like 100 people together, the energy would just be absolutely amazing. And now we got up to about 97 one time, but we didn't quite get the 100. But really, within the first month of us doing Zoom, we had over 100 people. One class, we had like 300 people.
Wow.
Just last month, we had a class with 500 people.
My goodness.
So it's just amazing what's happening now.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think I'm going to get to 500 this month.
Well, you never know. You start out with 10, 12 people, and then it grows.
Okay. All right.
Just be happy. You best be happy. And sometimes we do have a class. We just have 10 people in the class.
Yeah.
And it's important to put the same kind of energy that you do for a 400-person class.
That's right. It's just as important, because it also has a ripple effect.
Yes. And you never know what's going to happen.
No.
That one person, if you can get one person to really wake up and have that initiation, like last weekend we had this class, this lady, she says, wow, that was the most amazing experience in my life. And her third eye opened up and she started seeing things and connecting to the earth. She says, I've never felt so grounded to the planet Earth. Just one person, if we can have one person, have this experience, it's a huge success.
Yeah. And she will be back, and you know, will have influenced other people who are on the verge of wanting that as well. And going back to your 40-day meditation, I remember the first time you did that in India, and it was in the newspapers and everything, wasn't it? That mad American.
It was incredible, you know. Here's the thing: is that people do this sort of thing in India all the time.
Yeah.
But because I was a foreigner, it just, you know, people were so interested. They were like, wow, you know. It was in a village where foreigners really didn't go. I mean, if you think about it, most of the time in India, it's like they go to Delhi, they go to Agra, they go to Rishikesh. There's just certain areas in India that foreigners go. And Harda is like right in the middle of nowhere. And we would walk down the streets and they would be like, oh my gosh, you know, they would think, you know, we were from some other planet. But it was amazing. You know, you had the TV came, we had newspaper articles, everything. It was incredible.
I have to admit that when I first read that that's what you were doing, I sort of looked at it and read it and I thought, well, that's what he does. You know, it's like, you know, that's the sort of thing he can do. And then when you were talking about it within a workshop, the next workshop, and you said that after about 3 days, you wanted to give up and it was terrible. And you had to push through because there was so much pressure for you to do it. I thought, my goodness, he is human. You know, that's wonderful.
Well, there were a lot of things happening. Okay. First, we weren't supposed to have any communication. So no cell phone, nothing. Now, I had to go early just to prepare 4 days early, you know, 5 days early before, a little preparation time. And then I calculated out the days, but then I also, right after the 40 days, I had a class. And when I got there, Yogi Ji says, well, you need 50 days, not 40 days. And I said, well, I can't do that because I have a class. And they said, you know, it's kind of like, well, make up your mind. Do you want to do it or not? And so I had to make a decision there. So I had to cancel the class, which was kind of a big issue for me. And then 4 days before, again, my father dies. And so then it was like, well, do you go back for the funeral or do you continue to follow through with the meditation? And this meditation is something that I'd been wanting to do for so long, you know, for many years. I wanted to really do a 40-day meditation. And I finally got to that point. And my wife, Shirley, was so supportive and everything. Actually, she just had a new baby. So there was a lot of stuff, emotional stuff going on. And then I finally decided, okay, I'm going to do it. And then my mom ends up going to the hospital. And so there was a lot happening, but really the thing that was difficult was the meditation. A lot of times when you do a retreat, you do, 4 or 5 hours a day, and there's a lot of relaxing, good food, that sort of thing at these retreats. This is how they do a lot of the retreats now. Basically, the idea is 40 days, only 3 hours of sleep. And the only thing you have to drink is this, it's kind of a very watered down yogurt drink. Very watered down. So it's not like a thick yogurt drink. It's just like drinking water, but it has like a little bit of a yogurt mixed in with it. And that's what you have for 40 days. Now, I thought that was going to be an issue, not eating, but really that wasn't the issue. What really got me was only the 3 hours sleep. And by the third, and then it's with your eyes open. And I have a bit of an issue with my eyes where I don't have enough tears. And so it was very difficult. And you're supposed to meditate 21 hours a day. You're just sitting or standing. You're not allowed to lie down except for 3 hours. And so it was a little bit of a torture. First, you've got the physical side. you know. Um, you know, I couldn't, you can't sit cross-legged for that long. So, your bottom hurts, your legs hurt, your eyes hurt from keeping the meditation. And the meditation, it wasn't really what I was expecting at all. And so at some point I was just like, wow, I just can't do this. This is really hard. But deep inside I said, no, I can't quit. Because they already had the TV, they had the newspaper. Celie was on Facebook doing a countdown. It was like, yeah, after 3 days, Patrick quits. I was like, no, I can't do that. But what I did is I just had to go day by day, hour by hour. And it was amazing because after the first week, something happened where I really felt like I didn't need to sleep anymore. It was like there was this thing that just clicked in my brain, just reorganized my brain. And I had so much energy, and I couldn't believe it. And it's like, didn't need to eat. I didn't need to sleep. And some nights I didn't even sleep. Some days I didn't even sleep, It was incredible.
Yeah,
And
it's
the most incredible experience thing is that it's like you really kind of wake up that we are in a dream. We're actually in a dream. Just like you dreamed in your dream, you think it's real, right? When you're in your dream, you're in your dream consciousness, you think that this is really real. You touch things, you talk to people, and really, this is a dream too. And it was one of the things that it was interesting that happened too was we talked about memories and things. All of a sudden, I started remembering all my dreams that I had 40 years ago. Just as clearly as if I had that dream last night.
dreams that you hadn't remembered at the time.
I hadn't remembered, and things that I had remembered. But the thing is that I didn't piece it all together. It's like what I found is that a lot of the times in your dreaming, you're actually going into an alternative life.
Uh-huh.
And people don't realize that. It's just like, for instance, one of my other lives is that I'm still an architect. And I'm doing that whole life. I'm living a whole life as I would as an architect. And it's like I would have these dreams sometimes, and then when I really woke up to it, I realized I started putting them all together. And oh my gosh, I've got this whole life out there, a whole nother life that I'm dreaming. It's incredible what happens. But now the key to all of it is not to focus on all of this stuff, not to focus on the past life stuff, not to focus on all these, but just to be able to sit and let your mind be still. So the most incredible experiences I'm having lately is that I learned to meditate in my dream. Okay, so you're dreaming and then you wake up and go, wow, I'm dreaming. Okay, let me meditate. Now, I don't want to do anything. I just want to do nothing, stay in this state of peace. No thought, no mind. And that actually opens the portal up to the universe. It's just like, you think about it, the science is discovering, these black holes and things like this, and they're realizing that these black holes in the universe or in the galaxies are like portals that connect everything.
Yeah.
And, the science fiction people are writing about it for a long time, but now science is actually discovering this stuff.
Yeah.
And so when you're able to go into this complete stillness, it kind of creates like this black hole inside you, this void that then reconnects you to the whole universe. As long as you're playing and actively involved in all the life, you stay in this dimension. All of your thoughts that you have keep you in this dimension. So if you want to be multidimensional, you need to learn to let your mind go still.
Yeah. And in dreams, it's wonderful that, your parents or friends that have passed are real again. you can communicate
Yes.
with them. So
Yes.
who knows where you are at that stage?
Yes. And you know the goodbye meditation we do, where we go to a time of a person's transition and we say, okay, you have 5 minutes to say what you want to say. You know that one that we do?
Yeah.
So my father died, and I had to make a decision. Do I go back to the funeral or do I stay with the meditation? And the deciding factor was, I felt like, well, I will be closer to my father if I do the meditation. So
Yeah.
that's why I stayed. That's why I stayed. I did it. So on the day of his funeral, I'm sitting there, just sitting there meditating. And all of a sudden, there's my mother and father. And what I did is I went back. It was almost like back into time, a few days before my father's making his transition. And I'm talking to my mother and reassuring her that everything's going to be okay. And then I got to say my last words to my father, exactly like the meditation we do. It was incredible. And it wasn't like I was in a dream. I was sitting up doing the meditation, and it just all happened right then and there. It was just like I went into this other reality.
Yeah.
And we're
We have
capable.
we have so much to learn even now. We've hardly got into what we're all about, and that's what makes life so interesting, is that this continual flow of miracles, if you like. There's little miracles occurring all the time if we're open to them.
You just need to give yourself a little time, just a little space to sit down and be quiet a little bit each day, and then
Well,
start to.
Yes, you just have to have faith, and have the intention that something beautiful will happen if you just spend a little time getting to know yourself, and just letting everything else go, because really when this is who we are. We're our own universe, and it's a wonderful place.
Yes. And even just to ask, say, hey, I really want to know who and what I am. I mean, this is a huge step for a lot of people. There's a lot of people on the planet now have not even asked the question.
Yeah. I was very lucky, as you may know, that I was in Malaysia until I was 8 years old, and we were living on top of a mountain surrounded by jungle. There was, because my father was in the Air Force, and there was no white children, for want of a better word. There were no children. And I was in this big house, and there were some Chinese there that were supposed to look after me, but they were always busy doing things. So I was, by default, totally alone. So I used to sit cross-legged, probably, on the lawn at the front. And I was so still, because I knew instinctively, even when I was, 4 or 5 years old, that if I sat still, then everything would come to me. And so I was privileged to have monkeys playing around me, and snakes wandering past, and orangutans watching me, and all of this nature, which has remained in my memory, not just what I visually saw, but how if I remain at peace within myself, then the world comes to me in a beautiful form.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
and that's how it works.
Yeah, and of course, because especially in the West, we're so used to being so busy and having so much noise around us, that it has made life more difficult for people to actually step away from it.
Yes, it does. It creates even more of a busy mind, and the activity, and people don't understand what it is to be peaceful.
Yeah, and guilt too, because people think they always should be doing something, and they feel quite guilty if they step away and just do something purely for themselves. That's what I find.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think I've talk to you about, well, you've talked to me about many things that people will feel that they can connect to and are interested in. And I will say that yet again, that if they want to see more of you and be part of the energy that you're able to, I was going to say transmit, but really initiate within those that will be part of our Zoom, then the 28th of February will be that opportunity. So do you have any final words to say about our Zoom meeting that is looming very shortly?
Great. Well, you know, they've really been wonderful to get together with everybody, and so it'll be great to connect, especially for the folks in Australia. And
Bless
you know, we really enjoy so much, you know, teaching this way, and we've seen so many wonderful things happen, and so we just invite people to come and experience what we're doing. I realize that some people, you know, they might have some doubts or whatever, but if you come, you'll see that it can be really amazing experience for everybody.
Okay. Well, we might leave it at that. And
Okay.
just a little.
Yes. Yeah, I do want to say that participation, if you decide to come, participation is very, very important.
Yeah.
You know, when you come, really be prepared to participate and really have a full experience, just as if it's an in-person class.
Well, in fact, for a lot of people, it'd be even better because there's no shyness if you're sitting in your own room. You don't.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, and you don't feel any pressure.
You know, there's always these give and takes. You're on your own, sitting in your most comfortable place. You can create any kind of environment you want. So you have that as an advantage. The only disadvantage, you're not going to get any physical touch, but we find that it doesn't really matter because you're going inside, you're opening up and having the experience.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
And
so
this is what's important.
Exactly. So until the 28th, I will wish you all the best and give our love to Shirley, who is a wonderful person. Is she there?
She is here.
Hello.
Come on. She's a little shy, but she's right
No,
here.
never.
She's the one organizing.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah.
You're doing a grand job, Shirley, getting everything moving across the world.
Yeah, and we're very busy today. It's our last night in Shirley's hometown in Brazil.
Okay, where are you off to then?
Then we're going to go to Belo Horizonte for 8 days, and then we're off to Egypt.
Okay, well, I wish you well in your travels, and I look forward to. I will be seeing you from Egypt.
Yes, he'll be there. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Bless you.
Bye, everybody. All love. Bye.
All love to you.
Bye-bye.